Hello everyone and a warm welcome. My name is Simon from the studyabroadportal.com and I'll be hosting today's webinar brought to you by UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School from Ireland. And in today's webinar that is titled Smurfit Masters Information Webinar, Ireland's leading business school, the presenters, the 5 panelists that you'll meet in just a moment, will tell you everything there is to know about the full-time master's programs available, meaning why should you study for a master's in Ireland and specifically at UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School. You'll hear about the range of Smurfit master programs, about the career prospects and the Smurfit Career Service, very important feature discussed today in the webinar. You'll of course hear the necessary information regarding the application process, visa requirements, financial matters such as scholarships and tuition fee will be discussed, and all of which will be followed by an interactive Q&A session for which you, our esteemed live as well as on-demand viewers, can submit your questions by typing them in the box called the Q&A, which you should be able to find below me. Please keep in mind that we will be answering a few questions that are beneficial to a broader audience. Whereas for your specific question, if we don't have time to address it in today's live session, please do rest assured I will make sure to forward all of your queries onto the staff and or faculty members from UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School, who in turn will get back to you, providing you with the much needed information, most likely via email. And with having said that, I would also like to avert your attention to a window called the resource list. A lot of useful information has been provided to you via that resource as well, so feel free to take a look, play around with the platform. You can go into full screen presentation, full screen video, all is done on your end, and you can completely customize it. But I believe that you've heard enough from me. Now it is time to connect to Ireland, to Dublin, to meet the 5 panelists. And on our far left, we have Kathy Savage, the Senior Careers Manager. Next to her, we have Yola Mar, International Student Liaison Officer, Richard Murphy in the middle, Admissions Manager. And then on our right, we have Filippo Carli, a student. And last but not least, Irina Baksheva, I believe. So those are the panelists that will tell you everything there is to know if you want to choose one of the master's programs available at UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School. And guys, I believe that the audience has heard quite enough from me. Therefore, without further ado, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks very much. Very welcome to everybody watching. As Simon said, Richard's my name, and I'm one of the admissions managers here in Smurfit Business School. Simon's kind of already covered briefly what we're going to cover today, but just really quickly go through it. I'm going to give a quick introduction to the Smurfit School, a little bit about why you should study maybe in Dublin and in Ireland in particular. We'll also hear from Filippo and Irina about their own experiences, why they chose Smurfit. And then we'll hear from the guys here about the international student support and also the careers team as well. And finally, I'll give a little piece about how to make a really good application. So there'll be some tips there, so it might be worthwhile hanging around for that. And then lastly, we also have our Q&A session, so feel free to ask some questions. So just to kick straight into it, why UCD Smurfit School? So you're probably aware that we're part of the University College Dublin, which is Ireland's largest university. It's also ranked as #1 for employability, which is a really important statistic to give at this stage. We are Ireland's leading business school, but in fairness, we probably don't really compare ourselves with other institutions in Ireland. We're more in the top 100 ranked business schools in the world, so we might be on the same par with Bocconi in Italy, as you might know, Filippo, or HEC in Paris, other top business schools like that as well. You probably also have seen from our website that we're triple accredited, and without going too much into that, what that basically means is we're in one of the only top 1% of business schools. In fact, I think it's something like 90 business schools across the world out of about 14,000 only have what we have, which is the triple accreditation. So it's something that we're very proud of and work very hard to keep that accreditation. We're obviously globally ranked, as I mentioned. We're particularly ranked with Financial Times and The Economist. As I said, we're already in the top 100, but just probably one course of note is our SEMS International Management Program, which is actually ranked 7th in the world. So it's an incredibly prestigious course, and perhaps some of you might be interested in that one. Our alumni network as well. We have a massive alumni network of over 95,000 active alumni, which is really important. It's something that is extremely important when it comes to career prospects, how you can contact other people, and even for your own points, your journey up to application, you can actually get in contact with our alumni network as well for some feedback from people who've been through these courses. So I might actually move to the next slide then as well. We have approximately 20 specialist MSc programs, I think about 23 currently, with new ones being added every year. And just in relation to our population, our student cohort, we have about 51%. It's usually about 50-50. 50% international students and 50% domestic students. Our international students will come from a wide variety of different countries, about 60 different countries this year alone. So we have a very large international reach. But what's really unique about us, particularly here in Ireland, but also across the UK and wider field in Europe, is that our split is that nice mix of domestic students and international students. So it gives you a very authentic Irish experience, whilst also allowing you to develop future partners with future international leaders. One obviously point to make, which is backed up by our rankings, is that our academic excellence, we have over 100 leading faculty members. I think the stats are that all have PhDs, and they're all very involved with their industries as well. So really good networks there. Not to mention we have a beautiful campus. I think it's fair to say it's a lovely place to work. We are slightly separate from the main UCD campus, which has about 33,000 students. We have about 1,200 students here in a dedicated postgraduate business school, only the postgraduate business school. And we're in a lovely leafy suburb of Dublin called Blackrock, which is right by the sea. It's beautiful. Hopefully some of you have been here or will be here very soon. So, as I mentioned, we also have this dedicated career service, and with that, I think Kathy will talk about that later, so I might just skip past that one. We, as I've mentioned, are located in Dublin in Ireland, which is a really big, important piece as to why students come to us. You're probably aware that Ireland is, our education system is ranked always in one of the top 10 in the world. So we do pride ourselves on how good a quality education we give here. And again, that is also backed up by the rankings. Obviously, we're English speaking for the most part. Some people say we speak very fast. That's one thing I probably do, so forgive me, and I hope you can understand me okay. So I think a lot of people also say that we're quite friendly and safe. And again, we'll talk to the guys maybe about their experiences, but it's something that we get fed back to us on a regular basis, is how nice and how open an economy and also how open the Irish, would be to welcoming in people, unlike some other countries. In 2014, Forbes magazine ranked Ireland the best country in the world for business. It's a little bit old, but I don't think much has changed about that. The next point is actually something that is very up to date. We are usually the fastest growing economy in Europe, but I think we've just been pipped by Romania this year. So we're in the first or second fastest growing economy in Europe. So that again shows the strength of our multinationals that we have here, but also our own small and medium enterprises as well. And also the very startup kind of generation that we have, particularly with regards to tech. That's something we really pride ourselves on, along with probably pharmaceuticals and consulting. And actually now we're seeing more of a rise in finance, and in particular my next point, which is aviation finance. It's one of only, I believe, 2 courses in the world we have an aviation finance master's. And the reason why is because about 80% of the world's aircraft leasing comes through Ireland. So we're a very big aviation hub. Which probably all stem from our geographical position, so very, very close to obviously Europe and to America on the other side. So one last point you can see probably on your screen, there's a list of just some very small list of some of the big multinationals. To back up my point, you can see a lot of tech companies there like Google and Facebook. Irina said to me before we came on that you want to work in Google, this is the prime place to be for it, obviously headquartered here in Dublin, along with all the other sort of tech companies. So it's something that we are very proud of, and hopefully some of you guys might be interested in working with some of these top multinational companies. So that's just really briefly, and there's a lot more than the points I've just made, but we don't have time for it now. But I encourage you to contact us and we'll go through more in detail if you wish. But that's a little bit about Smurfit, a little bit about Dublin and Ireland. And now there's a little video that we want to show you. It's only about a minute long that just gives a little maybe overview of exactly what I said. hope you found that video entertaining. And now I want to briefly talk to our current students here. So first off, we have Filippo Carli, who is obviously Italian, as Simon mentioned, and is currently studying on the MSc in International Business program. And beside Filippo, also we have Irina Baksheva, and Irina is from Russia and studying on the same program as well. So I think it's always useful. You know, you hear a lot of us talking, and that's all great and good, but people really, like yourself, really want to hear directly from current students. So maybe, Filippo, I'll start with you. Maybe just a brief question. Why did you choose Smurfit, and why Ireland?
Yeah. Hello, guys. My name is Filippo. Nice to meet you. And actually, Michael Smurfit has always been my first choice, so I really wanted to get into this university because of its importance. It's because of the fact that it's, as said, it's one of the most prestigious universities in the world, and I got to know that by going through the rankings. And I was very, very happy when I got accepted. I was very happy, and so far has been an amazing experience. I've met many international students, many international people, and since I have an international background, I really wanted to do that. So I wanted to pursue an international career. So Smurfit so far gave me everything I needed, especially I understood how important it is to the importance of networking. So as you will see, Smurfit has a career office that will guide you through also the creation of the perfect CV. And they will give you, there is no perfect CV, but okay.
You have one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I hope. And they will give you tips. And yeah, and fun fact is that Irina and I today we're going to Google because they're going to have like networking event.
Yeah.
And so we sent an application, and eventually they were happy with our CV.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing.
And we was happy with their choice.
Yeah.
So there's 50 students from the Smurfit School going to stay with you.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So get a nice tour.
Yeah.
And thanks, maybe Irina, you had a slightly different experience because you were here in Ireland, weren't you?
Yes, I was here. I had their courses of English. My parents, they just like give me this like present on my birthday, and in comparison with Filippo, I didn't have the Smurfits like the first one university that I want to go. Yeah, so I was here in Dublin, and I thought like, maybe I need to go and to see like what is it, how it works. And I was here in this campus, and I fall in love with this because I saw lots of group of students who studied together, they made their case studies, and just like I saw this atmosphere and I fall in love. I just said, in the same way, I called my mom. I using this Wi-Fi. Yes, I called my mom and said like, Mom, I'm decided I want to study here. I don't want to study in Barcelona. I don't want to study anywhere. I want to study here. I want to study here. I will do everything. But it was May, and I sent my application in their last day of deadline. So I didn't expect it that I will go study here, because I just thought, if no, I will apply to the next year. But when I came to my country house, it was like the moment of the most happiness moments in my life. And I went to my country house by the train with my dad, with my sister, and just like I got the mail. I look at my phone and like final offer. I'm screaming on train, and everyone like surprised. What happened? We need to call ambulance. I said, yes, I'm so happy. I'm going to study here. Yes. And Filippo, he said a lot about work experience that we will have. I want to mention some like about education, that you will meet here a lot of international students, a lot of Irish students. It's networking. You will work in international companies if you want to go here or go to another company, like to make your career in international company. You need to work with different cultures. And here it's amazing experience to work with different countries. Like we have about 11.
Yeah, in our class.
Yes, in our class. Yeah, more than 11. Yeah. So that's amazing to know about culture.
Yeah, you would learn how to see things from different perspective, which is something very important, because when you are in an international team, when you have when you have a specific goal to pursue, you need to have more than one view. So in my experience, it's been a great time here in Smurfit, because I've managed to discover that it's one of the most important things. And moreover, I don't know about you, Ira, but I've seen my multitasking skills, they're booming.
Yeah.
So interpersonal skills, because of the contact with international students, academic skills, because master actually, it's very linked, I would say, to the real life. So we see what then is going to happen. We learn how to see things and how to solve problems, because it's the main thing.
It's really important to have like practice in your lesson. Of course, in comparison with Russia, I will talk about my experience. We learn the meaning of the word, like what is the strategy, but it's real life. You don't need this meaning. You need to understand it in your mind, but you need to understand how to improve the strategy. And here we have case studies, and we will have our final projects to work in the team in the real companies. So you can implement your theoretical base from previous degree, these practice like case studies in real life. So it's amazing.
And I think that's a good point that you make there, is that pretty much across most of our courses, this is one of the, I suppose, unique selling points of our courses are compared to other schools, is that we are very practical in our delivery of our programs. There's some courses that are maybe a little bit more, for example, marketing practice, which is purely practical, but each program will do exactly what you try to say. We have a lot of group and teamworks where you will have collaborations with, and we spend a lot of time, don't you? You help with the program office to get a good mix of international students with Irish students and people from different backgrounds to work on projects, because it is reflective, obviously, of the workplace, particularly if you go to work in somewhere like Google, one of these big multinational companies that are based here in Dublin. You are going to have people from all different backgrounds, and that's something that we do try to really instill in our students from the get-go, which is to be aware of other people's cultural perspectives, be aware of other people's backgrounds, and try to work together on problem solving. So I think it makes for very practical graduates, and I think that's why our graduates do so well afterwards.
We also have the intercultural development program run by Dr. Diane, which is again aimed at students to develop their skills working together from a theoretical, academical and practical point of view. And it's a course that runs over a couple of semesters, and you can get a recognition and a certificate. So that again adds to the experience.
Yeah, and guys, just one thing. Obviously, we hear, and hopefully you find a very good experience of Smurfit. Is there anything we were talking about before we started the webinar about maybe, things and tips you might be able to give to prospective students? So, for example, accommodation is a little bit tricky at the moment.
It's a little bit tricky. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So the moment you know that you're coming to Dublin, you should start looking for an accommodation, because the situation it's a bit tricky here. So really start looking for a house, for a room, and it's I'm telling you, it's pretty hard to find an accommodation from abroad. So you have to be here to find accommodation.
And actually, I just put in two things that do help about that. One is that we do encourage early application. I'll talk about that in a second, but you can apply before having you finished your degree, obviously, and also before you've taken an English language test. I'll talk about that in a second, but the idea is if you apply now, and you probably should, because courses can get filled very quickly. As Irina, you were saying, you thought the deadline was May, and they do fill up quite quickly. So if you apply early, not only are you getting an offer hopefully early, but it also allows you to hopefully find accommodation early. So that's just something that to be probably very aware of,
Yeah. If I could add to we do recommend students to do research, but we do not recommend they could book accommodation well in advance and when they're abroad. Just to be on the safe side, it's always important to come and actually have a look at the place to make sure. I mean, there's very, very, very few scams. So, but every year I do meet a student who unfortunately is not fortunate enough to secure it successfully, having paid a deposit. So it's very rare, but we would not recommend people paying money in advance before they can. That's why I think our recommendation is the students arrive early, at least 2 weeks, if not more. I think it takes approximately between 10 days and 2 weeks to secure a place to live. Am I being realistic? Is that the time? Yeah. So you really should not arrive the day before your course starts, because instead of engaging in your program and working with other students, you will spend your time looking for a place to live, which really is not a good start.
Yeah. Just briefly before we go on to Yola, just one last quick sentence. What's been your favorite experience so far of Smurfit, would you say?
Favorite experience, well, I would say in general, the international exposure, both with international students.
Yeah.
And so I got to know them very, very, I've made friends, of course. And the fact that I was able to get in contact, in touch with companies. So Smurfit organize like meeting with the companies. Companies come on campus, and you can actually go to them with your CV, and you can ask them questions. You can get LinkedIn content, everything. I think it's very important.
Irina, briefly, have you got one favorite experience?
I just want to say that, yes, of course, my favorite experience is at work and with different cultures, so making new friends, and it's amazing. Like, you learn from other people of their experience, and I want to say, like, never give up. You will face with a lot of challenges. Like, they will be little, they will be big, but never give up and do your best, because it's worth it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Listen, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to hand you over now to my colleague Yola, who will talk about international support.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, guys. I really love hearing your experiences, how passionate you are about your course and what you've chosen your future career. In my role, I look after international students in a very general way. So I provide support to anybody who's never lived in Ireland, or really any student who is international in terms of their journey. So from the moment really they inquire about the course, they take interest in UCD, up till the moment they're literally leaving, or else even post-graduation. So the support I provide is very, very broad. It's literally helping students to relocate to Ireland, and I suppose be here and live here and be happy. So it's really in a nutshell what I do. So what I'm going to cover here today, I just want to mention 4 different areas. So the first one is the onboarding support, which really starts from the moment the student accepts the place. Whether it's a conditional offer, a full offer, you can accept your place, and from that moment, you will be linked with our communication platform, which is the SIS Web Incoming Students Portal, where all information that is required for the new incoming student fits. And where all contact details for the staff that looks after each program is also located. So basically, the moment you accept a place, our recommendation is that you link up with the portal and have a good read through it, and if you have any questions, drop us, whether the program staff or myself, an email. I'll be more than happy to help you. And the next area that I would like to cover is orientation. We do a very thorough and orientation program, which lasts around, now it's in general, it's 2 weeks for all the 20 programs, but per program it's approximately 2 days or 1.5 days that covers program orientation. So that's run at the program level by the program director, and it covers general areas like writing skills, teaching and learning, intercultural development, and e-learning as well. And also Welcome to Ireland orientation. That's a full day that is designed for students who are new to Ireland. and it helps you guys to learn and learn about the reality of studying and living in Ireland, and also ensures that you actually meet other students and have fun. On the day we have a social event where we learn how to do Irish dancing, how to dance Irish dancing, Hayley, and how to speak a little bit of Irish, Hayley. How to, did you have time that day, guys? So it's a great exposure, and it's a really good event that we organise that day. So orientation is really important, and it's really important you do not miss either program orientation or the Welcome to Ireland Day. For those of you who require visa, again, UCD provides support. There is a role in the UCD Global Office where immigration support is, specifically immigration support is provided. And also in my role, I help students and direct them through all the areas that are related to visa application and then the residence permit post-arrival. And the last area is accommodation. As you guys mentioned, it's important to be here early, and I can't stress it enough. Every year I speak to students who say, I wish I really did come here early. I only came 3 days before, and I was so stressed, and I was looking for a place to live. And I'm not saying it is stressful, but if you arrive early enough, you will have enough time to find it at your leisure. Anyway, so I suppose, well, we do have tips on how to look for accommodation. Again, that's on our SIS Incoming Students portal. And if I could repeat again, please do not book accommodation from abroad. Do your searches, look at areas, check out prices. So when you come here, you have done your research, your information, but we don't recommend the students book anything when they're abroad. Now I'd be more welcome to answer any questions. I hand over to Kathy yourself.
Thank you, Fiona. Hello, everybody, and nice to meet you today. And I'm just going to, it's really just to give you a very quick overview of the UCD Smurfit Career, the Career Network Centre here based in the Blackrock campus. So we're the only school within UCD actually who have a dedicated career professionals working with students here. So there's 4 of us in the team. We're on campus, and we're available throughout your studies here if you accept a role or a program here. And the service is available for 2 years after you graduate as well. So just to give you an insight into the types of services we provide to students when they're on campus, we've broken it down into, I suppose, 3 stages of the career development program. So the first stage is really getting started and setting yourself up for success. The second stage is building your career skills and developing a professional network, which Filippo referred to earlier. And the third stage is getting prepared for interview. So we have, I suppose, an easy time in a way, because we get to support and work with wonderful students here across the different subject areas in the graduate business school. But it is a highly competitive jobs market in Ireland and internationally. So our role, I suppose, is to help students develop skills so that they're best placed to be able to secure jobs in a global jobs market effectively. So once you accept a place on a program on whatever, be it aviation finance or marketing or digital marketing, whatever it might be, our team contacts you during the summer. So we have done a lot of work to help students prepare for the jobs market before they actually start their program. So to give the students the best possible position to compete for these jobs internationally is to get started early in the summer, so that we're not eating into your experience here when you're studying with us. So we would constantly I suppose, benchmark the services that we provide against peer schools like HSC and Bocconi, etc. And I think Filippo, you referred to the CV building tool that we support students with. So everybody who accepts a place in the program starts working on their CV, I suppose, over the summer, so that when you come in to speak to a career consultant here in Smurfit School, that your conversation is really focused on yourself and your career. And we also provide online support through a program. So a lot of people, I suppose, who study with us here are initially interested maybe in establishing their careers in Ireland for maybe the first 4 years post their masters. So we just help you get a jump start on that, and we've created an online module for international students to just give you an insight into the jobs market in Ireland, what employers typically look for, and really just to help you acclimatise to the jobs market before you come. And then we also follow that up with a webinar like this. So again, in advance of you actually setting foot on campus here, we'd host a webinar just to help you develop a first-class CV to help you compete for jobs in the likes of some of the companies mentioned earlier by Richard, like Google, LinkedIn, Facebook. So we are very aware, I suppose, that our students are competing internationally, not just with the students in the Irish market. And our job is, I suppose, to help you prepare for that competition. Then step 2 is during orientation, as Yola had mentioned. Every program across the MSc suite of programs gets a 4-hour career development workshop. So we found that throughout the year that students are so busy here with group work, assignments, attending lectures, and trying to, I suppose, attend kind of on-site visits with Google and the likes, that it's very difficult to, get involved in career programs in semester 1 and semester 2. So before you get really busy, we there's a tailored career development workshop for each program. So where we get previous alumni in to talk to you about their experience on the jobs market, and we as career development professionals will give you insights into how to prepare well for the competitive graduate recruitment market. And then step 3 is that you're supported throughout the year and for 2 years after you graduate to come in for a one-to-one consultation with a career consultant. So we obviously are a small team here. We're a team of 4, but we'd also employ external specialist career consultants to support you on a one-to-one basis. So obviously when students are here, they can come in to meet us face to face, but then once you graduate, if you're working in Switzerland or Russia or Italy, we can host some of those one-to-one career conversations, be it by phone or Skype or whatever, after you transition into the workplace. So so just in terms, that's sort of a general overview of the types of services that we provide to students. As career managers here, we're very focused on the jobs market, and a big part of our role is to engage with companies externally. So in September, we had about 45 companies on campus here who were actively recruiting students, and we would run different initiatives like mock interviews will be coming up after Christmas for different programs. And as Filippo and Irina said, we'd organise things like insight visits too. So for example, today we've been working with Google since September to organise a visit into their offices, their European headquarters based in Dublin here. So Google today are going to be hosting 50 students on site in their offices and giving them a tour and giving them the best possible opportunity to land jobs with some of these very prestigious companies based in Ireland and internationally. So I know we're going to have a Q&A later today, and if you have any questions maybe on our service, I'd be delighted to answer them. But also I think Filippo and Irina have used our services here and have used BMOC, have attended the recruitment fairs, have had one-to-one consultations with career consultants. So I'd encourage you maybe to speak to them about their experience in terms of the support services that are available here at Smurfit. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Kathy. So probably over to me now, just in relation to what I do. So obviously I would deal with applications and admissions aspects. So I'll just really quickly go through this piece. I would say obviously there's a lot of information online about how to do this, but also feel free to contact us directly. The one thing I would say, the admissions process, it's not a test in some ways. It's you know, we will help you make a good application. So do contact us and talk to us, and we will guide you as best we can as to what the best program for you is. Obviously, we don't want to get you in and doing a program that's maybe not quite right for you. So we offer guidance and support with regards to the process. Very briefly, it's a very straightforward process that is probably quite similar across many other schools as well. You apply online through our website. This brings you to the SIS, which is Student Information Services portal, for you to make your application. You put in some usual information like your personal details, and then you would upload some of the criteria that we need. To be honest, the only one thing that we absolutely require straight away will be your transcripts. Now, the obvious problem that a lot of people say is, well, should I wait till I've finished my degree and then apply? The answer there is absolutely not, because obviously you might not finish your degree and get your results until June, July, or even later. I know initially, actually, a lot of them don't get them until August or even September. And by that point, you know, applications will be closed, but also, you know, you won't have time to come here and do all the things that Yola suggested. So apply early is the first thing I would say to you, but also get in your transcripts. So if you're in a 3-year program, include your first year and your second year transcripts, not screenshots, but your actual scan of your transcripts that you get. A lot of people also have online verification processes. We're very used to dealing with transcripts from every type of university across the world, so do send it in to us. If you're unsure, talk to us beforehand. We can discuss it. That's really it. Is the main thing is that, and your essay questions. So there's 2 essay questions you have to write. It's no secret as to what these are, because you can save your application process at any stage and come back into it. You can. Some people do take 2 weeks to do it if you want to. The first question, I'm slightly paraphrasing here, is essentially, why should we pick you? Now, that's a very open-ended question, and to be honest, you should really try to, you know, talk yourself up as much as you can. If you have experience that's relative to the course that you're applying for, if you have strong leadership skills, maybe you're captain of a sports team or you do volunteering work, just things that make you unique. And, you know, you can use a bit of color here if you want to, you know, describe it to us in the best ways, why we should be picking you over, you know, the thousands of other applicants that we get. The second question is a bit more focused. It's more about where you would see yourself, you know, 5 years after doing your program. Now, this requires a little bit more research and thought. So what you should really try to do, and I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but maybe reach out to one of our alumni or current students if you can. LinkedIn, obviously, is a great tool for that. You know, see where people have gone to. You can talk to us in the admissions office, obviously. We can help guide you with that as well. But the idea there is just that you can show us that you are motivated and that you've done your research, so that you're not just applying to us along with 20 other schools and you hope that maybe just someone will give you a place. We want to see that you really understand the school and understand what we can deliver afterwards for you as well. So that's really important. Your essay questions are extremely important, and your transcripts. So the latter part for probably most international students is the English language test. We have we accept a wide range of English tests, between IELTS and TOEFL would be the most popular ones, but other things like Cambridge and Pearson's. So there's a lot of information on our website about that and the standards that you need to get, because we here in the business school have a slightly higher standard of English requirement than the rest of the university, and that's just something to note. Now, you don't need to have your test done before you apply, but we would encourage you to get it done as early as you can. because it just means that we can make you a full offer then, as opposed to maybe a conditional offer. Obviously, the last stage is finishing your application. You can also upload other information if you wish, like obviously your CV is important, references if you have them, academic and work references, any other maybe training courses you've done. It's up to you if you want to upload some of those pieces. And don't worry if you feel like you have other information that you don't have yet. Submit your application and let us know that maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time you're going to have this other reference. It's very much an open process between us and the admissions office and you. So the last piece is you finish your application, you press submit, and you pay the €50 application fee, which again is pretty standard across most universities. Then on our side of things, once you've submitted that, the process can take up to 3 weeks. And again, that's on the longer side of things. It does take that length of time because we receive well over 6,000 applications every year. So it's a lot of work for actually a relatively small admissions team. So we do get to you as soon as we can. We do say up to 3 weeks. Usually it's quicker than that, and we will endeavour to get an answer back to you usually within a week. The results that we give are usually one of these three. It's either straight offer, which obviously means we can give you an offer if you've finished your program, you've got a result that is up to a certain standard that we require, and also if you English language test, if you've done one and it's applicable to you, that you've provided that as well. They would usually be the two scenarios where you would receive a full offer. A conditional offer would be probably what's made about maybe 70% of the time up until maybe May or June. And the reason why is because for most people they haven't finished their degree yet, or maybe they haven't done the English language test, or maybe they need to do something else, possibly like a GMAT test. So you have time to do these things. So once you've met the conditions of your offer, such as finish your degree and got, say, the minimum 2-1 or something that we require, you then send us in the final document. We then make you a full offer. If you don't get the conditions that we ask for, unfortunately, you wouldn't get your place would be essentially taken away. However, we do try to endeavour to make sure that you can continue the process. Possibly, if that means the following year, that might be the case. It's quite rare that happens, to be honest. It's usually most people go from the conditional offer straight to an offer. And the final one, obviously, is the no offer. But we will say this, that it's never usually a no. It's no for now, but let's see what you can do maybe for the following year. So again, we might set you a GMAT test to do, or if you're applying for our finance programs, maybe you don't have a strong enough background in finance, that you might consider doing a short course in finance over the next 10, 12 weeks or something. There's lots of different things that we might suggest to you, and it's quite a holistic process that we do in our admissions team. With certain courses, like for finance, there's interview testings, and for SEM's International Management Program, there's direct face-to-face interviews or Skype or Zoom. So there's a number of different things, but generally speaking, that's the admissions process in a nutshell. Again, the key thing I would ask you to do is to take away today is apply early. So our applications are already flooding in. We have received well over 1,500 applicants already. So do get your applications in nice and early, and that allows us then to, if you don't have enough right now, to maybe wait a few months and then get it in and still get your place for September. So finally, the last thing I want to mention are just the scholarships. Obviously, we have a lot of scholarships available depending on your background and what country you come from, maybe what university you studied in. So there is a link, I think it's up there now, which is to our direct scholarships page on our website. You can just Google Smurfit scholarships, they usually come up as well. And there's a little drop-down filter menu to put in whether you're an international student or domestic, and you'll see what's available. Just be aware that we will always say there's one thing about scholarships. Be sure that you can afford to do the course and also afford to live in Ireland with accommodation and living expenses. A scholarship for us is more of as a bonus, as opposed to directly trying to get you to come here if you otherwise couldn't afford to do it, if that makes sense. So be committed to the course first, and then hopefully you might get a scholarship, and that will help. We do have a lot of scholarships, and there is a large chance of success. That's the one good positive, I would say. So that's briefly enough from myself, and I think we will hand back to Simon to the Q&A now.
Thank you very much, Richard, as well as to Kathy, Yola, Filippo, and Irina for this lovely and extensive presentation. And as Richard has indicated, yes, we have come to the questions and answers part, and we already have quite a lot of questions submitted. Before we tackle a few of them, let me tell you once again, for a few of you that join us later, we will try to address a few questions that are beneficial to all of you, some information apart from the presentation you've heard, whereas for your more specific question, if we can't address it today, rest assured, all of your queries will be forwarded on to the staff and or faculty members of the Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School, who in turn will get back to you, providing you with the much needed information, like they have been explaining throughout their presentation. Hopefully you guys have been paying attention. And now let's see which question should we address first. I've had the most questions submitted regarding the admissions topic, which would be if perhaps does any other master program apart from the MBA require a GMAT score?
So that's a good question. I'm just thinking out loud here for a second. No, not really. The MBA is the only one that we specifically require a GMAT test for. Other prestigious courses, such as our international management program or maybe some of our finance programs, because there's a large quantitative aspect to GMAT tests, we may ask them for that. So it's not specifically a requirement, but we may ask for it.
Thank you very much, Richard, for answering our first question. I have the second one also for you, but before I bring it up, allow me to bring up first of 3 polling questions that we have for our audience members, live or on-demand viewers. Did you find out the information required? Yes, no, somewhat. Please also click on that submit button, as your feedback would be greatly appreciated. And your feedback through the Q&A is also, I have here, Angela would like to know if perhaps they don't quite reach the minimum language requirements, are they still eligible to apply? Let's say if they're slightly touching it from below.
Okay, so there's a few things around that, but just really try to be as brief as I can. Generally speaking, as much as our admissions process is very holistic, and we will try to, look at maybe your CV if your academics are a bit lower. When it comes to English language requirements, it tends to be very black or white. In other words, you have to meet our requirements. Otherwise, you won't get a place. We are very strict on that. And again, for example, if you look at our IELTS test, which is probably the most common English language test, we have an IELTS of 7 here in the business school, whereas the university is 6.5, along with some other things. So it is something just to be very aware of. Now, you can take the English language test as many times as you want until you arrive here, basically. So until we usually say June is our latest deadline. So if you applied now and you got a 6.5, you would have probably at least 2, if not 3 more opportunities to do that test again. I know it might cost a bit, but if that's an opportunity you could do, then again, that's a benefit of applying early. There is sort of 1 or 2 other exceptions. If we currently have pre-sessionals and pre-masters programs, which are designed for students who maybe don't have the full English language requirements now. And essentially what you do is you come and you commit to studying, say, our last year of our BCom program here in our undergraduate school for a year, or else there's other, you would work with our English language or applied language center here on the main campus during the summer up until you start in September to boost your English language requirement. Now, to be honest with you, that's something that is a little bit different. It's not for everybody. So my main piece of advice is, do try your best to get the English language score that we require. But again, you can apply as many times as you need to get that if you're on a conditional offer, if that makes sense.
Richard, I want to add, my experience, I got IELTS 3 times. So it's really possible you get it once, and if it's not enough score, you just book your next date and do your best and try to make your best. It's not the end, it's not a diagnosis. You try and I'm their example. I got it 3 times. Yeah. I got it here in Dublin, and the next week I got in Moscow, and I got it
on the 3rd time.
Yes, in the 3rd time.
What was your score first?
First 6, after 6 and 5.
So you see, that's a really good example, because I think most people who apply to us would be either between 6 and obviously 7 on the IELTS scale. So those who are on a 6 might look at a requirement of a 7 and go, "Ooh, maybe there's no way I'll get that, but I'll try, and maybe I'll get a 6 first time." And then after they got the 6 the first time, I go, "Oh, look, I'll go elsewhere." But Irina is a case in point here, where you can definitely take it. You can do some English language, classes in the meantime, and you can definitely get the requirements. So thanks, Irina. That's a good example. Hopefully that answers the question, Simon.
I believe it has, yes. Thank you very much, Richard, as well as to Irina for adding on to that one. And we are also now moving on to our second polling question, where we would like to know if our audience now is intending to apply to one of the master's programs being available at the Smurfit Business School. Would it be yes, no, perhaps a maybe? Let's leave this one on screen and then move back to the Q&A. Last question regarding admissions, then we're switching topics. We have a question here. What is the latest date to apply for a master's program? Apologies, Richard. And also, can they apply for more would be the follow-up question.
Yeah, two very good and very popular questions we get all the time. So first one is regarding the application date. For the most part, for most of our programs, we don't have an application date. We're quite different to other schools, and I think, Irina, you mentioned that point to me earlier. So we have a rolling basis of our intakes, if that makes sense. So we'll assess you as you come in. It's a first come, first served. So we have a limit to how many people we can take on a course, obviously. So essentially, those who apply early, again, have the better chance of getting a place than, say, you applied later in the summer, because we might only have 1 or 2 places, but maybe there's 20 or 30 applications, for those couple of places. So my advice to you is definitely apply early. So no, there's no deadline. So again, depending on which course you're looking at, or maybe where you're from, our business analytics course, for example, is always one of our first programs to close because it's so popular. And the same maybe their aviation finance program, because I think one of the reasons why our rankings are so high is because we don't have these massive classes. A lot of our programs will be maybe 30 to 40 to 50 places on them. So it's quite small. And that allows you more one-on-one time with lectures, etc. So that's the kind of downside, is that, we don't have as many places to offer. So that's, again, the reason why you need to apply early. But no, in answer to the question, we don't have a deadline. Apply early. Second question. So, that's, how do I put this again? Just remind me to get the question, Simon.
If they can apply for multiple master's programs.
Yes, sorry, apologies. I have a young child that was awake all night last night. So. Baby brain. Yeah, that is a good question. And I think the important piece about that is, yes, you can apply for multiple courses, but here's the thing. You can apply for technically 20, if you wanted to. It's all under the same application fee. It's all €50 to apply for 1 or 5 or 10 courses. But you obviously have to tailor your essays and your application to each individual course. So, where we have 4 finance programs, it would make sense to me as an admissions manager if I saw someone who applied for maybe 2 or 3 of those. That will make sense to me. But if I saw somebody who made an application, say, for our aviation finance program, maybe our marketing program, and maybe our, HR program, that kind of shows to me as an admissions manager that maybe they don't know exactly what they want to do. So my advice or my tip there is, talk to us before you apply. Make sure you know what course you want to do. And yes, maybe there will be 1 or 2 options, but if you start applying for more than 3, it never looks good to us. That shows us that maybe you don't know what you want to do. And obviously, and the mechanics of how that works is we will only ever assess you for your first choice. So if you were to apply for, say, 3 programs, you have to preference them 1, 2, and 3. And obviously, we will look at your first choice first. If you get an offer on that, brilliant. We don't look at your other 2 or 3 because you've got your first choice. If you don't get an offer on your first choice, we will look at your second choice, etc. And there are certain cases and certain times, for example, our international management program, where there's a lot of people apply for that. Maybe they don't get an offer on that. But even though you haven't applied for, say, our international business program, we might suggest this one instead to you as well. So in other words, you don't need to apply for them all straight away. You could just go with your first choice, and then we can go from there,
Thank you yet again, Richard. And in the meantime, I've brought up our third and final polling question. What are the deciding factors in your choice of a master's program? Feel free to let us know. And then let's switch topic. Although, no, I do have reoccurring questions. Richard, you have the floor for one more question. A couple of attendees asking, is the GRE accepted, let's say specifically for the master's in management? course?
So again, we don't specifically require the GRE or the GMAT course, say the management program. The GRE would be acceptable for the MBA program because that's the requirement. It's a GMAT or a certain GRE score. So again, just to clarify, for most of our MSc programs, there's no direct requirement to have, a GRE or a GMAT. But again, just adding to what I said to you earlier, if you had these extra things like your high GMAT score or high GRE score, include them, but don't wait until you've done those tests and then apply. Apply if you have them, don't worry if you don't have them. But for the MBA program, yes, you do require a GMAT and a GRC, and those scores are up on the MBA page to look at.
Thank you very much. And then the next question, I would like to hear both answers, the faculty and the students. Parv would like to know if it's possible to have a part-time job while pursuing the international management course. Perhaps if Filippo and Irina have a part-time job.
We don't have yet, but a lot of our classmates from Ireland and from international, they have.
Yeah, so, well, you can have a part-time job. The thing is, I've been looking for a part-time job actually, but you really need to have some good time management skills.
Yeah.
Because the first month, you may feel like, okay, there's not much stuff to do, but after I would say 3 weeks, the lectures are going to be tougher, and you need to do class assignments, team meetings. So if you are able to manage, if you do have some good time management skills, you definitely can do both.
I think what I've heard is that maximum of 10 hours per week. The very, very maximum is really what has shown in research not necessarily to affect your grades in a big way if you have good time management skills. It's really, really demanding. So I think the recommendation is don't come here thinking you're going to be supporting yourself while studying. It's not going to work. But I think give it a month or two, see how things are going, and then obviously look into maybe weekend work.
I would just echo that as well, that all of the master's programs are full-time programs, and I mean the university would deem all students here to be full-time students. So just in terms of participating in that extracurricular bit to develop your relationship skills, to get the opportunity to meet with companies on campus, to participate in Dr. Linda Yang's intercultural program. In addition to having a part-time job that could be challenging, I would suggest that I'd really think about that before deciding to commit to a part-time job. However, there is a big break over the Christmas period. So unlike other universities in Ireland, we have our exams before Christmas, so everything, the first semester is finished. You don't have any assignments hanging over you from the 23rd of December, and you effectively have, I think, 4 or 5 weeks break in January time. So sometimes in semester 2 and 3, there's more scope. But I think if you're moving to a new country, you're speaking in a different language, and you're getting to know there's a lot going on. So a part-time job on top of that just could put an additional pressure, and that would not maybe be sustainable, I think, to have a good student experience.
May I add something?
It's not impossible. Please. What do you think, Filippo?
I totally agree. I think that there are two kinds of students, an active student and a passive student. So if you want to be a passive student, that you come to class, you follow the class, you go back home, and you don't want to get involved in any societies, because UCD has a lot of sports society, economic society, business society, country society. So my advice would be, I would rather get involved in as many societies and things happening in the university as possible.
Enjoy this year.
You're here as a full-time student for a master, so get involved, get to know people, and if you're if you're super skilled in time management, you can do everything. But I would prioritize.
Superhero, yes.
You can solve the
Superhero, no.
Yeah, and at different times of the year, you might, your program manager will be able to support you with giving you an insight into that. Because at different times of the year, it mightn't be as intensely busy. For example, I know the MSc Finance students in the first semester, they're extremely busy up until Christmas. And then things, it is busy obviously after Christmas as well. My academic colleagues wouldn't be happy if I said that, but it's not as intense. And then some of the programs actually offer internships. So we have about 5 or 6 programs or so who offer summer internships as opposed to doing an academic course or a research topic in the summer. And all of those internships are paid typically. So that's something else to consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, I have heard of some cases where, where there's, based on your coursework as well, because you will be working with a lot of companies on real projects, not even in the summer, but up until that in semester, not so much semester 1, probably semester 2, and some students, and this is just some, will actually have sort of part-time work with those companies, maybe in a sort of slightly consultancy type role, or maybe they're helping on a certain project. A lot of our marketing guys would be involved with things like that. So there are opportunities, and I suppose if you are somewhat smart about it, that might be a good opportunity. That might be a good way to explore some work, because you get involved with, as Filippo says, with all the extracurricular things. You study hard, but you also use your coursework to maybe help earn a little bit of money. But as Yoda said, I think the main thing that we would always say in admissions anyway, I think everybody says it, make sure you can come here and afford to do the course and live here. If you can get some part-time work, that's a bonus again. But do you remember, you are here, you're making a big investment to come here. The course fees, as you probably know, they aren't the cheapest, and there's a reason why. It's all about the quality and your career outcomes afterwards. But it is a big investment, so make the most of that year and your investment that you're making to come here. That'd be fair to say, guys. And totally agree.
Thank you very much. You've been most useful providing our audience members with answers in today's Q&A as well as in the presentation. We are slowly getting to the point where we start to have to start wrapping up today's session. Although I do have 2 or 3 more topics that I would like to briefly discuss, if that's okay with our panelists. And before I do so, allow me to say that we are also now concluding the polling segment. Hopefully you've given us the feedback. If not, you can always rewatch, because I've had a query. Yes, this webinar is recorded. You'll be able to re-access it as many times as you would like using the same link, and it should be available in about 2 hours after we finished today's live event. So concluding the polling, and yes, recording is also available. And I have here then a topic in the Q&A from Sandro. Sandro's read that UCD also offers accommodation for international students. Would like to know if those premises are located near Smurfit and or Blackrock?
Yes, we do. There's a whole of residences called Proby House that's entirely dedicated to postgraduate Smurfit students. I think there's approximately 110 rooms. Approximately, that are left open for master's students. And the booking of those rooms starts quite early, and they fill up quite steadily, depending of I suppose the speed of when offers are offered and acceptances take place. So really what I'm saying is they do open early, but they don't necessarily fill up by, say, December. So it's an ongoing process. Without a deadline such. I think they usually close around June. So there is accommodation. If you'd like to look at it, do Google Proby House, Smurfit School, and you can have a look at the UCD Residences website. There's facilities, picture facilities, and details of fees, etc., etc. If you have further questions, don't hesitate to give us an email, drop us a line, and I'll be more than happy to give you specific details.
Thank you very much, Shola. And if I'm not mistaken, one of those links regarding accommodation you can also find in the window called the resource list. Feel free to check it out, and you'll get the necessary information via that channel as well. One more question, guys, if you will. Very important. Is it possible for international students to stay and work in Dublin once they finish their masters?
Yeah.
Yes. So when students, if I could take it,
Yeah, sure.
students, when students are studying here, they're on a student visa, which entitles them to work part-time up to 20 hours throughout the academic year. And during the months of June, July, August, and September, so again, June, July, August, and September, students can work full-time, so it's up to 40 hours. That's still on the student visa. So when you're a student here, part-time during academic year, and then during holidays, full-time at 40 hours. Upon completion of the program, you can apply for what's called a third-level graduate program. It's also named Stamp 1G, which will allow students to stay in Ireland and work up to 40 hours a week, up to 24 months. So initially, you apply for Stamp 1G for 12 months, and then you extend it additional 12 months with a couple of conditions like having applied for a job, are you holding an employment contract, etc., etc. And that's really loads of our students avail of it, and it's very, very popular. So the answer is yes, after 24 months.
Thank you very much, Yola, for answering that one. Perhaps another question. Do students get the opportunity to visit companies during their program? I believe this was addressed in the presentation, but a confirmation?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yes, you do. So both at the program level, so the academic director and the program manager would be very active in engaging with industry on behalf of the specific subject area. And also through the Career Development Centre, at times there are opportunities to visit companies. It does vary from year to year. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, today my colleague Michael is Google are hosting 50 students across programs and from the Graduate Business School in their offices on campus. Google haven't facilitated that visit in the last 2 years, but they did this year. And I know there would be various interactions with industry across the different programs at the subject area level, through your academic director and your program. So through research projects, kind of guest lecturing, sometimes visits to company. I know the MSc Aviation Finance program would visit all of the key aviation finance companies throughout their studies, and then obviously through the Career Development Centre, the visits take place as well.
Kathy, thank you very much. And on this positive note, we are now wrapping up today's live session. I do apologize in advance. We have a flood of questions coming in. If we couldn't address yours, please rest assured all of your queries, even saying hi, will be forwarded on to UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School, who will in turn get back to you, providing you with the much needed information. And having said so, allow me to then firstly thank our live as well as on-demand viewers. Hopefully this session was informative, and I sure hope that some of you are seriously considering to apply to one of the master's programs available at UCD Smurfit Graduate Business School, that is from Dublin, Ireland. And of course, a very special thank you to the lovely panel of 5 presenters. Allow me to bring them into frame side by side, because on our left we had Kathy Savage, Senior Careers Manager. Next to her we had Yola Mar, International Student Liaison Officer. Key part helping you with the admissions process, and in the future as well, I believe, will be Richard Murphy, Admissions Manager. And then a very special thank you to the 2 students sharing their personal experience. I believe that is the best way we can deliver information across to our audience members, Filippo Kadli and Irina Baksheva, the 2 students. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Would you guys happen to have any last-minute closing comments before we say goodbye?
Just come to Smurfit, guys. You will enjoy your stay here in Dublin. It's besides the international experiences. So, and I'm enjoying it. But even if you hadn't have any international experience, this might be the first time. And if you want to pursue any kind of international career, or just it's a way to shape your person, your professionality. I mean, it's not about only university. It's about life. It's about making friends, get to know new people. It's a completely different scenario. So I would go for it.
Yeah, it's one of the exciting years of your life. Yeah.
If I could also add that the staff here in Smurfit are more than happy to engage with you. So if you have any questions, queries, please give us a shout. We'd be more than happy to help you.
Thank you very much. I guess that's a cue for me. This time to all of the participants in today's webinar, whether being our presenters, personnel behind the camera, or our audience members, thank you so much for being with us today. And this is Simon, your host, signing off by wishing you could be a good morning, maybe a good afternoon, or perhaps even a good evening from wherever you may be. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.